Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show as we head into the weekend. First, newly released photos from the Idaho student murder crime scene. Ex-Sheriff Stein wants his psychological evaluation unsealed. Sean Combs, well, he wants in-home detention. Let me introduce you to some evil. And what a delightful family reunion in court. Donna Adelson's desperate evidence dodge. We have this day in legal history, our legal quote of the day, and our dumb criminal. Let's talk about it. Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, hit that bell for notifications, and yes, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps anytime. So before we get to the docket, let me remind you to go to crimetalksearch.com. Sign up for a background subscription service today. When you do, you'll be able to do a background search on anyone here in the United States. And imagine thousands of databases across all the states, many agencies, public records searched to find out what somebody's social media presence is, their email addresses, their phone numbers. You're going to find out if they own property. Do they have a criminal history? Are they married? Are they divorced? Maybe some things that they haven't told you, like, oh, I don't know, maybe they're on one of those sex offender registries. Yes, go check them out. Go to crimetalksearch.com. Like I said, when you sign up, you can do as many background searches as you desire. It's literally prepared while you wait. It is emailed to you, and you can get updates. And remember, whether you want to do one search or 1,000 searches, you can cancel at any time. Go to crimetalksearch.com. You're going to be happy that you did. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the docket today. So it's Friday, already August 8th, 2025. Where has the year gone by? Well, 8 months of it. Here we are. First on the docket, we have new photos that were released from the Idaho Moscow Police Department, and let's take a look at them, ladies and gentlemen. So photographs from the interior of the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, rhymes with Costco, where 4 University of Idaho students were fatally stabbed, have been disclosed to the public for the first time. Now, these images, numbering more than 200 and obtained from local law enforcement, illustrate the aftermath of the violent incident that occurred on November 13th of 2022. They were made available following the sentencing of Bryan Kohberger, obviously the man that pled guilty, waived all his appellate rights, and is now a convicted murderer and received 4 multiple consecutive life sentences. Oh, and did I mention he pled guilty? There will be no appeal. Have I mentioned that before? Anyway, the images provide a detailed view of the crime scene, highlighting evidence of the attack. One photograph captures a handprint on a window in one of the rooms, pressed against the glass in a manner suggestive of contact. Obviously, bloodstains are evident on the white painted doors throughout the house, indicating the extent of the violence. Now, several photographs depict the bedrooms where the victims were discovered, and in the 3rd floor room belonging to Madison Mogan, where she and her friend Kaylee Gonzalez, both 21 at the time, were attacked while asleep in bed. Now, these images show the space as it was left post-incident. A separate image reveals a bed covered with a pink blanket, a significant portion obscured to preserve sensitivity. Another view taken from the doorway of a student room displays scattered shoes and clothing on the wooded floor, presenting an ordinary living environment without immediate signs of a tragedy that had taken place in the house. Additional interior details are captured in the photographs. A sign reading "Good Vibes" is visible in the living room area, positioned near the staircase leading to the upper floors. Now, the University of Idaho lanyards are shown hanging by the staircase amid remnants of what appears to have been a recent gathering or a party, like the beer pong tables. Now, in the kitchen on the 2nd floor, a sliding door is photographed partially open, consistent with the entry and exit points used by Kohberger. Now, the 2nd floor bedroom, where Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, both 20, were killed, is also documented. Images illustrate the room's layout, including the bed where Chapin's body was found and the floor area where Kernodle was located, bearing marks of a struggle. Now, bloodstains on the nearby door further emphasize the scene's severity and brutality. One photograph provides an interior view of the bedroom with wall-mounted photographs that have been blurred by police for privacy reasons. Another focuses on the third-floor room associated with Mogan and Gonzalez, offering insight into the space where they are found. Now, these photographs, released after the lifting of the court-imposed restrictions on case-related materials, complement other evidence such as surveillance footage and forensic findings, and they underscore the targeted nature of the intrusion, during which Kohberger inflicted multiple stab wounds on the victims. While the images serve as a visual record of the scene, they do not resolve outstanding questions regarding any motive or prior connections between the perpetrator, Kohberger, and the victims. Now, like I mentioned, Kohberger is serving multiple life without the possibility of parole sentences, plus another 10 years on top of that at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. Take a look at these, ladies and gentlemen. It just shows you, I think it's a representation of obviously what has taken place, reminds you that, but it also shows you how quickly life can change. None of those victims, none of those college students that night didn't think they were going to get up the following day and go about their day, finish their schooling, graduate, and that those photographs show that everything is just captured in time that day. I think what's interesting is the stairwell where apparently officers had to turn to go up it, and so would have Kohberger, but yet not a single cup on the beer pong table were moved or bumped in any way. And yet he was walking around there stealthily. But take a look at that house. How long do you think it would take you to walk through that house? 30 seconds to get upstairs? Maybe if you're taking your time and being careful in the dark. It was all possible. He did it. Everybody knows it. And if you think otherwise, well, there's probably nothing we can do to convince you. Next, a retired sheriff facing charges for the fatal shooting of a Kentucky judge inside his office is requesting that his psychiatric assessment be made public. Legal representatives for Sean Mickey Steins submitted a request to disclose the assessment on Tuesday. The pleadings indicate that the assessment has been carried out earlier and placed under seal by the judge, with its findings pertinent to the matter expected during a hearing scheduled for August 15th. So according to the pleadings, the defendant intends to present sections of the psychiatric assessment during the evidentiary proceedings to bolster his position and to provide the court with a complete and equitable perspective on the pertinent details. The upcoming hearing is regarding a request submitted back in June seeking to nullify the charges against Steins. Now, for those who aren't familiar with this case, ex-Sheriff Steins has been accused of murder in connection with the shooting that resulted in the death of his friend and former coworker, Letcher County District Court Judge Kevin Mullins. Now, during the incident, Stein held the position of sheriff there in Letcher County, and he stepped down from his role back in October of 2024, shortly before his court appearance where he entered a plea of not guilty. Don't you see kind of the little game that people play, ladies and gentlemen, right? If it's a bad fact, we want to seal it with the court. If we think it's a good fact that's going to help us, please unseal it all. It'll explain everything. It vindicates my client. You starting to see the game we play, ladies and gentlemen? Hence the reason why it should all be made public to everybody. Everybody. Next on the docket, let's talk about Sean Combs. That's right, Sean Combs, professionally known as Old Diddy. He's anticipated to receive a sentence ranging from 1 to 3 years of imprisonment for his legal charges of bringing prostitutes across state line. Anyway, his legal representatives are going to argue to the judge to permit him to fulfill any term of his sentence within the confines of his residence rather than being sent off to the Bureau of Prisons. Now, Mark Agnifilo, serving as Old Diddy's primary attorney, has indicated that his client requires and desires therapeutic intervention to address challenges related to anger management and substance dependency. He emphasized that the correctional institutions are not adequately prepared to deliver the most effective support in these in their little domains. Well, he's kind of right, because yes, there are lots and lots of drug treatment programs that one can attend while in the Bureau of Prisons. Well, you may not get sent to the right place. It may not work out with your other requirements that you have to do in BOP. So I get that. So anyway, So Harvey Agnifilo confirmed that the option of seeking home confinement during sentencing remains a consideration. And while he described it as a potential course of action, he further elaborated that he is currently organizing a group of professionals to furnish Combs with specialized assistance. Additionally, he intends to propose therapy as a mandatory element of any supervised release arrangement. Now, Combs has communicated to Agnifilo his recognition of the need for therapeutic support, acknowledging longstanding personal shortcomings throughout his adulthood. His attorney noted that Combs is committed to utilizing any period of confinement productively to rectify these issues. Interesting. Took him to be some 50 years old and only the possibility of facing life in prison to realize that maybe he had some deep-seated issues, maybe some mommy issues, daddy issues, who knows, but he definitely has some women issues because he doesn't know how to treat them with dignity and respect. And clearly he's got some other issues that he needs to work on. But you would think being cold turkey in prison is going to help him do what he needs to do. Now remember, Mr. Combs should only be sentenced for the crimes that he was actually convicted of. But the judge knows all the facts that came in, and although the prosecution maybe wasn't able to prove it, the judge has repeatedly said that Mr. Combs is a violent person, and that is one of the reasons why he was not released on bond. In his most recent attempt to receive a bond there in his case pending in New York City. Now, Mr. Combs' attorneys can certainly ask for some sort of combination of sentencing that can include some in-home confinement. My experience in federal court, where literally I just got back here minutes ago from federal court, doesn't really happen that often. Usually when you go to federal court, unless everybody just realizes maybe it was super overcharged, like Combs' case was, but maybe it's a misdemeanor, usually you go to prison. You go to the Bureau of Prisons. So just something to think about. I think they're going to ask for it. They're going to make a really good argument for it, but I think the judge is ultimately going to sentence Mr. Combs to prison. All right. Want to talk about evil? Let's talk about a Louisiana father with some prior drug convictions charged with second-degree rape after allegedly assaulting a postpartum friend following, well, a breast milk request, and she denied it. So what a charming tale of modern friendship we have here. A Louisiana gentleman with an impeccable history allegedly decides to spice up a postpartum visit by assaulting his decade-long pal after she dared to deny him a sip of her maternal elixir. At the time when the world clearly needs more absurdity. Do we not? So here we go. Cecil Fuller, the 38-year-old beacon of fatherly virtue, drops by his old buddy's place in West Monroe at the ungodly hour of 4:30 a.m. this past Tuesday, because nothing says support a friend like showing up before dawn to request a taste of her freshly produced breast milk, right? Naturally, the horrified new mother, fresh off delivering her bundle of joy just 2 weeks prior, opts out of this bizarre proposition and retreats to the sanctuary of her bedroom. But wait, the villain isn't one to take rejection lightly. He allegedly trails after her, proceeds to violate her in the most heinous way, and for good measure, squeezes her throat until oxygen becomes a distant memory. Brilliant strategy, truly, until the infant's cries interrupting his little escapade, forcing a reluctant pause. Now, police at the Glenwood Regional Medical Center got an earful of this nightmare when the victim sought help, leading to Fuller's swift apprehension that very day. He's now lounging in the correctional center on a second-degree rape charge, pending bail, looking ever bit the picture of remorse in his booking photo, complete with those telltale shadows under his eyes that scream, "I've had better nights." And let's not forget his glowing resume. A proud papa to 2 kids, fresh from a marital split, as per his online chronicles, with a side hustle in pharmaceuticals gone wrong. Back in November of 2023, he was nabbed for peddling substances that conveniently caused a couple of people to overdose, complete with a home stash of hundreds of pills, cannabis varieties, and meth for that extra flair. Then Then there's the 2018 gem, where he was busted indulging in methamphetamine right in front of an impressionable youngster, charged with multiple counts of intent to distribute dangerous goods, because why not add that role model to his list of accolades? Anyway, truly a story that restores one's faith in humanity, or at least in the endless supply of jaw-dropping headlines. Next on the docket, how about a little family reunion for Donna Adelson? Well, isn't it just charming how Donna Adelson's Grace Day at Leon County courtroom on this fine Friday morning, with her murder trial just looming like a bad sequel just under 2 weeks away. Her legal eagles are flapping wildly to bury any pesky evidence that might spoil the narrative. Now, the 75 years young, Donna stands accused of orchestrating a murder-for-hire extravaganza that claimed the life of her ex-son-in-law, the esteemed Florida State University law professor Dan Markle. Poor Dan was gunned down in his own driveway back in 2014, right amid a messy custody tug-of-war with Donna's darling daughter, Wendy Adelson. And let's not forget the supporting cast. Donna's sons, Charlie, his former flame, and a couple of other accomplices have already earned their convictions for this little twisted tale. The day's pretrial circus zeroed in on defense motions aimed at muzzling testimony and exhibits tied to some shiny new probe. Though the filing was censored like a government secret, glimpses from the defense doc suggest they're battling to silence a pair of chatty jailhouse snitches who spilled everything to the detectives. Donna's lawyers begged the judge to bar those detectives from blabbing about the interviews and to hush up whatever juicy tidbits the informants dished. Now, they also dusted off an old plea to quash proof that Donna was allegedly hightailing it to Vietnam when police nabbed her at the airport, because who wouldn't book a one-way ticket to paradise amid such allegations? Now, in a shocking twist of judicial mercy, sarcasm intended, Judge Everett decreed the evidence could strut into court, provided it's paraded properly. Prosecutors, even the paragons of restraint, assured everyone they wouldn't dream of trotting out anything improper. Meanwhile, Donna's grand trial spectacle kicks off with a jury picking commencing on August 19th. We should bring it to you live. And how utterly thrilling for all involved. I can't wait. Next on the docket, this day in legal history. On August 8th, 1814, the Treaty of Fort Jackson was signed, ending the Creek War and forcing the Creek Nation to cede land, with legal implications for Native American land rights and federal authorities over treaties. On August 8th, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued a proclamation offering amnesty to certain Confederate deserters, a wartime legal measure impacting military justice and treason cases. On August 8th, 1933, a lesser-known Indiana parole board decision denied early release to John Dillinger, influencing his later crime spree and federal law enforcement focus on bank robberies. On August 8th, 1942, a habeas corpus petition was filed in a California federal court challenging the internment of Japanese Americans under Executive Order 9066, an early legal challenge later dismissed. August 8th, 1969, the Manson family committed the Tate murders in Los Angeles, leading to one of the most high-profile criminal trials in U.S. history, shaping public perception of cult-related crimes. And finally, on August 8th, 1974, President Nixon announced his resignation effective August 9th due to the Watergate-related criminal investigation, obviously a landmark moment in federal legal accountability. All right, how about a quote of the day? So, a distinguished legal quote on the presumption of innocence originated from the early 14th century canonist Jonathan Monachus, who articulated the foundational maxim in his commentary on a papal decretal. Item quilbet presumptor innocens nisi probere nocens. A person is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Now, this principle is rooted in jurisprudence of the Lus Commune, emphasizing that guilt must be affirmatively established through due process, safeguarding individuals against unwarranted condemnation. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Please meet Heston Cobb. All right. Drum roll, please. In the grand tradition, folks, of those who mistake felony charges for viral fame, we proudly crown Heston Cobb, better known to his 1.6 million TikTok disciples as Heston James. Now, as today's undisputed champion of the Dumb Criminal of the Day award, this 21-year-old Arizona mischief maker didn't just push boundaries, he pole vaulted over them straight into a jail cell, all for the sake of those oh-so-precious likes and shares. So here's how it sets up. Cobb and his merry band of imposters waltzing into unsuspecting Tempe shops, decked out like they owned the place and stubbornly squatting there like uninvited guests at a family reunion. Tempe's finalist finally nabbed him at home on July 23rd, linking his actions to a parade of complaints called from frazzled business owners. The charges? A delightful medley including third-degree burglary, a duo of criminal impersonations, 5 counts each of disorderly conduct, and criminal trespass. Who knew playing dress-up could land you in such a colorful state of affairs? Among his greatest hits, a 4th of July spectacular where he sauntered into a mechanic's garage, declared himself from corporate amid a flurry of fake complaints, and unleashed a van load of jumpsuit-clad cronies to tinker with cars like a bad improv troupe. Then there was the Scream Fest from March to May, ear-piercing howls echoing through stores, followed by Cobb's wide-eye innocence when the staff came running. Millions tuned in, chuckled from afar, while real-world victims like Pep Boys, Highland Auto Repair, Big Brand Tire and Service, Jiffy Lube, and even Chipotle dealt with the chaos. As Tempe police officer Jessica Ellis astutely noted in a local interview, these weren't harmless giggles. They were law-breaking escapades masquerading as entertainment, crossing into criminal territory, she called it, and that's spot on. Now, one business owner, David Highland of Highland Autos, hopes that this fiasco nudges social media giants to scrutinize their feeds more closely. Smart advice, considering Cobb isn't the Lone Ranger in this rodeo of regret. Remember Charles Smith, that other TikToker that got pinched back in December for dousing Walmart veggies with pesticides? A prank? So daft it vanished from the apps faster than you can say food poisoning? Well, he surrendered, confessed to theft and chemical mischief, prompting cops to warn about the perils of stupidity wrapped in social media bows. So hats off to Heston Cobb, our shining new awardee. Maybe his story serves as a cautionary tale. Next time you're tempted to turn a store into a personal stage, remember, the only viral thing waiting there is your mugshot. Stay tuned for next week's contenders as the bar for brilliance in blunders is set seriously high. All right, that's all we have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember, I'm going to be in trial, but I'm going to try to put up some videos this week to fill those spots so you don't miss me, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.